What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the Thomas Gallery, and today I want to talk about architecture. Now, although I don't claim to be one, I love architecture and just the aesthetics of building a structure. Now, when I looked up the origin of the word, it comes from two words, arch and texture, which means chief builder. And I thought about that, chief builder. Why do they use chief builder? And I'm thinking it has something to do with the person who has that knowledge to construct and erect a structure that will stand the test of time, like the pyramids, the Eiffel Tower, the Colosseum of Rome. You know, that took architecture and engineering. And when I think about that, I say, well, what is it about architecture that I like so much? You know, what draws me to it? I thought to myself, well, it could be I like architecture that it seems like it fits in with the landscape. Like it belongs. It's like it always should have been there. Like it's been there for a long time. Like the pyramids. The pyramids, I guess because it's happened thousands of years ago, but the pyramids seem like it goes with the landscape. Um, some of my favorite architecture and designers are R.A.M. Stern, Frank Lloyd Wright, and Frank Gehry. For some reasons, like their designs give me the impression that that structure has always been there and that it fits in with the area. Like Frank Lloyd Wright's famous house that he designed is like right near a waterfall, and it's built within the rocks. It seems like it should have always been there. Like it's been there for thousands of years. Like it seems like the the water from the waterfall chiseled out the house, like it came straight out of the rocks itself, and it did. And like R.A.M. Stern, his works, which you can find in New York City, seems like they fit right in with the landscape of New York City. Like it don't seem out of place. It seems like it should have always been there. And I love that part. I like it when things fit in like a puzzle piece. And I think when I see architecture that don't fit in with the environment, it just seems like it's like putting a square peg into a round hole. It just don't fit. But if the pieces go with the environment, it just it works. It just works for me. Aesthetically, it just works. And I've always, well, I'm not an architecture, but I've always thought to myself, I did a few sketches a long time ago where I thought, well, if I were to design a museum, what would I want it to look like? I've done sketches like that where just for like places that maybe one day I'll actually get to do architecture for and design for. But architecture is, I think architecture is like the unsung hero of the art and design field. It's like the unsung heroes. Like you don't really, I mean, unless you're in the field. You may not know certain names. But I think that's actually a shame. I think that if someone is responsible for designing a structure that lasts the test of time, that name should be hoisted and put among the rafters. It's just my opinion. Like I said, a lot of people may know Frank Lloyd Wright, and they should. I think a lot more people should know Frank Lloyd Wright. Excuse me. And names such as that should forever be remembered. You know, like that's a chief builder. Like the definition of the word, architecture chief builder. And I think myself, what would the world be like without architecture? Just think about it. Somebody had to come up with the design and the structure for a house. Somebody had to come up with it. So what would the world be like without the chief builder? It's a very good question. I mean, to me, architecture has to make sense. It has to have a function. Like I call it fly and functional. I don't mind something looking good and being aesthetically pleasing, but I believe it's better when that aesthetically pleasing object or structure has multi functions. That way, it never loses its purpose. It never loses its appeal because it always has a function. It always works. No matter what's going on in the world and what times we're in, if that structure has a perpetual function, it will never lose its value. So I believe in being fly and functional. It should look good. It should look very good. It should be visually appealing, aesthetically appealing. But the main point, it should always have a function. It should always make sense. That's what I'm saying. It makes no sense to have a building that doesn't really do much else other than house people. It should do more. That serves a greater function than the one it was originally intended for. Like I was told something a long time ago, and I follow this philosophy to this day. It says, never buy or invest in something that only does one thing. Keep that in mind. Never buy or invest in something that only does one thing. Meaning, if you buy something that only has one function, once that function is done, it will gradually lose its value. I see the bug flying above me. But once you buy something or invest in something that has multiple functions and performs those multiple functions well, that object, that structure will never lose its value. In fact, its value will increase over time because the function will become more and more valuable over time. So, dang it, bug keep on flying by me. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll be back shortly. I will see you all later. Peace.